open the same tool they open. You read the same threads they read. You watch the same breakdowns, the same demos, the same "this changes everything" posts. And then you close the tab. And nothing really shifts. Not because you missed something, not because you weren't trying, but somewhere between the tab closing and the next morning, it just didn't land anywhere. Meanwhile, someone you know, maybe a former colleague, maybe someone you follow online, is suddenly doing things that feel like they skipped a level. Not louder, not working more hours, just ahead. And the strange part is, they're not using tools you don't have access to. They're not working faster. They just seem to be operating from a different place. You've probably noticed this. You just haven't been able to name it yet.
Here's what most people assume: that the ones getting ahead figured out a better tool, a smarter workflow, a shortcut that hasn't gone mainstream yet. So you look for it, you dig through threads, you test more things, you stay more current. And it still doesn't explain the gap. Because the gap isn't about tools. The people moving quietly ahead, they're not holding a secret stack of software. They're not working in the dark. They're visible. They're online. They're reading the same things. But something in how they process all of it is different. Not faster, not more efficient. Different in a way that's hard to see from the outside. And that's the part nobody talks about. Because it doesn't look like a strategy. It doesn't look like anything, actually. Until 6 months later, when the distance becomes impossible to ignore. Something was forming in them, while everyone else was busy consuming.
Before we begin, if you value quiet, thoughtful content like this, subscribing helps this channel grow and makes it possible to keep creating videos without noise or hype. Thank you for being here. Now, let's begin.
So what is it? If it's not the tools, if it's not the hours, if it's not how much you consume, what's actually different about them? Here's the thing. It's not something you can look up. It's not something you can copy. It's something that happens before any of that. Before the tool opens, before the prompt gets written, before the output appears. There's a moment, very brief, easy to miss, where a person either stays inside their own thinking or quietly hands it off. Most people move past that moment. They're already typing. The ones moving ahead, they notice it. Not because they're more disciplined, not because they slow down artificially, because at some point, they stopped taking that moment for granted. Think about the last time you sat with a problem. Not opened a tool, not searched for an answer. Just sat with it. You probably can't remember exactly when that was. Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care. Because there's always something ready to fill that space. A search bar, a chat window, a prompt field. And the thing is, the output is often good. Sometimes it's exactly what you needed. But something else happened in that moment. The part of you that was about to wrestle with it, that was about to feel the shape of the problem from the inside, quietly stepped back. Not dramatically, not permanently. Just this once. And then the next time. And the one after that. From the outside, two people can look identical. Both productive, both shipping work. But inside one of them, something is still forming. Inside the other, it already stopped. That's not a moral judgment. It's just what happens when a tool is always faster than a thought. Here's where it gets specific to right now. A year ago, you had to think through something before you could even articulate it well enough to search for it. The friction was the process. Now, you don't need to articulate it. You can half-form a thought and hand it over. The tool will complete it for you, often better than you would have. And that's genuinely useful. But there's a side effect nobody warned you about. The half-formed thought, the one you handed over before it was ready, that's the part that used to become yours, not the output, the process of getting there. The people getting quietly ahead aren't avoiding this. They use the same tools. They move just as fast. But they've learned to notice the difference between handing something over because they're done with it and handing it over because they didn't want to sit with it. That gap is tiny. Most days, it's invisible. But over a year, it's the whole distance.
If this feels familiar so far, not as information, but as something you've been dealing with, we keep a growing collection of prompts, tools, and simple frameworks designed to help you think more clearly, start more easily, and work better in this environment. We add to it over time. Nothing overwhelming, just practical resources you can return to when you need them. If you want access, you will find it in the description. Now, let's continue.
You probably already do this in certain places. There are areas of your life where you don't reach for help before you've sat with something first. Not because you decided to, just because it matters enough to stay with. A conversation you need to have. A decision that's actually yours to make. Something where you know the answer has to come from inside you, or it won't hold. You already know what that feels like. That's not a different skill. That's the same thing. The people getting ahead aren't running some separate mental discipline. They just haven't lost that instinct in the places where it counts. Not because they're more aware, not because they read the right things, because at some point they noticed. The output was fine, but something felt slightly less theirs, and they trusted that feeling. You felt it too. You just may not have listened to it yet. You didn't lose the instinct. You just stopped feeding it.
If something in this landed, there's a resource we put together called the Prompt Master. It's not a course, it's not a checklist. It's just something you can open while you're still inside the thinking. Link is below. The people getting quietly ahead aren't special. They didn't catch something early. They didn't figure out a secret. They just kept showing up to their own thinking in the moments when it was easier not to. That's it. Not every time, not perfectly, just enough times that the instinct stayed alive. And here's what nobody tells you about that. It's not about thinking more. It's not about using AI less. It's about knowing, in a given moment, whether the thought you're about to hand over is one you've already finished with, or one you never actually started. That distinction is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. But the people who've learned to feel it, you can see it in what they build, in how it holds together, in the fact that it sounds like them, not like something that was generated in their direction, like them. And what happens when that distinction starts to blur completely, when you can no longer tell the difference? That's where this goes next.
If you made it this far, it means this topic matters to you. In the next video, we continue building on this with clearer understanding, practical perspective, and ideas you can actually use. Following the channel really helps us keep developing content like this and adding more resources over time. The next video continues from here. You can watch it now.